Hey guys, this is Anthony Romrell, and in this video we're going to talk a little bit more about organic modeling. We're going to work on this potted plant here, and then we're just going to go over some modeling techniques that can help you achieve different goals. So first of all, what we're going to teach in all the videos, what I try to teach in all the videos is how to solve problems. We're not necessarily trying to model a plant as much as I'm trying to help give you thoughts on why we're using a tool a certain way. Okay. So a potted plant, what we want to do is first start by creating a little flower. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to go to poly modeling, and I'm going to click on this polyplane, right? And a polyplane has appeared here, although it's small and difficult to see. We're going to hit the F key to zoom in. And here is our polyplane. And what we're going to do is really simplify this down. So I'm going to take this subdivisions along, and I'm just going to put a 1 and a 1. Actually, let's change our minds here. Let's put a 2 and a 2. And then what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this, and we're going to go to vertex mode. Okay, and I'm going to shift select all these vertices, and I hit the R key, and I'm going to just pinch them down. Okay, this gives us something that's somewhat organic looking. Then I'm going to grab these vertices here at the bottom. What I'm trying to do is just make up some sort of petal. Okay, hit the R key to scale this down just a little bit. Then we'll just grab this middle vertex and this one and just move it just a little bit. You can kind of see how that may look like a petal of some sort. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to move this center point. So I'm going to hold the D key and the V key and snap that to the bottom of it. And then I'm going to do something just a little bit different. I'm going to hold just the D key and move this a little bit towards what could be the center of a plant, right? So this is going to become one petal, and what we'll end up doing is using it to create multiple petals. So I'm going to hit the the E key, just to sort of rotate it a little bit so that we can get it kind of spinning around. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're just going to do a little bit of math. So if we wanted 12 petals and we have 360-degree rotation, we're going to rotate this, around a certain number of times. So what we'll do is we'll say 36 divided by 12 gives us 30. Okay, so it's going to rotate 30 degrees. And in which direction? So this direction here is rotating in Y. Okay, I'm just going to leave Y in 0. And then this rotate in X, we're going to just put this at a negative 12. Okay. So we're going to do this something called a duplicate special. We can do duplicate special right here, and we're going to just click on that little button. And what we want to do is create a number of copies of things, and then we're going to rotate it around this little pivot point that we've created. So we know that we want to rotate this around Y. Okay, and the number of times we want is, let's just say 12 copies. So we want 12 copies, right? And we're going to have it rotate 30 degrees in Y. And when we hit apply, it's going to then generate all this whole little pattern. Okay, and now not everything is working the way we wanted, right? This is not, doesn't quite fit the bill just yet. You can see, here's part of the problem. Let's hit the F key to sort of frame this in. You can see that it's intersecting on itself, right? What we can do now is we can go to our move tool, for example, and we can change this from world to object, and then we can move each object in and out just a little bit. Okay, so move them in and out, up and down. That's not going to do too much of an effect. We could also go to rotate. So hit the E key to rotate, and we can change this to object. And since they're all selected, we can select them all and sort of rotate them all at one time, and they're all going to move somewhat independently. So we're treating this as if we were doing our own little model, right? Now, part of the issue we have is we're going to start out with these being the same, right? But if we want to like do a little bit more tweaking, these aren't quite random enough. Now you can see the original models there. Okay, these aren't quite random enough. So what we can do after this is we can just step through and manually change the scale, for example. So make one just a little bit bigger. Make this one a little bit bigger. Perhaps maybe change the rotation of one of these, right? Just a little bit. So it's not quite perfect because, in an organic model, things just aren't quite perfect. And now I also realize that these little leaves are maybe too low res, but we're just trying to get a handle on, how this kind of conceptual thing works. So now that this is done, we've sort of got an idea, and maybe we like the results, maybe we don't. What we can do now, I'm going to just delete all of these. Okay. Seems a little redundant to do this, but I'm going to delete all these, and I'm going to do some tweaking on this particular object. So I'm going to go back and change this rotate back to 0. And this still has an input of a polyplane. So maybe I want a few more subdivisions, but I've already tweaked it. So I'm not going to get the subdivisions I want, right? So you see, it's just going to give us some bad form. So that's because just when you tweak something, you're going to lose some of the history ideas, history concepts of it. So what I'm going to do instead is just go to my mesh tools and insert edge loop and just manually go through and edit, right? So maybe I have a little bit more resolution or revolution or resolution. I can speak. Okay, now the other thing we could do, and I want to do it sparingly, is we could do a little smooth on there. So we can go to mesh, but I'm telling you, you guys, if you smooth this, once you start smoothing, you're just going to go crazy and you get too much geometry. And we want it controlled, but that said, I know some of you want things to look smooth. So, I'm going to take a minute to find it because I don't do smooth very often. In fact, I don't recommend it. But what I can do is just go to smooth and we'll give it a factor. So how many divisions? Let's just do 1. So smooth it one time and you can see it smooths it out, right? It does exactly what it says. But if you don't go crazy, right? And then the other thing we're going to do is we're just going to edit this a little bit. So I'm going to go to vertex mode. Okay, just select that one vertex and hit the B key. And then with the B key selected, I can hold the B key and should be able to scale it. I don't have the right key combination here. Anyway, it's a soft select, right? And so the radius is too big. And I can't click properly. So hold the B key and should be a single mouse click. It's not giving me the results I want. That's one of the issues with using a pen. That's okay. So what we'll do instead is, instead of hitting the B key, I'll just select more than one, thing. So I'm going to hit the function key and F8, right? Hold that shift key. I don't know how my emojis just popped up. That was kind of interesting. Okay, and usually I'd want to use that soft select, but it's not working for me for some reason, so I'm just going to manually tweak, right? Just sort of pull geometry in a certain way. Also, another thing that would help, turn object mirroring on, right? Of course, I don't think I'm facing the right way, so that doesn't seem to be working right now at this point. And that's okay too, right? It's just a matter of just making some mods to this. I could also just scale it, make these a little thinner globally. Okay, I'm going to say this is good enough. This is tweaked a little bit more how I'm wanting. I'm going to go back. I'm going to close the smooth options, and I'm going to go back to that duplicate, right? So duplicate special, and we'll go to the options, and again, it'll be 12 and 30, and we're going to apply it, and we're getting, the exact same results because we're doing the exact same thing. But then I'm just going to go to these just local rotates, for example, object mode, and just manually do some tweaking, right? Again, if you do too much, it doesn't look organic, right? It looks like more like a machine, like a fan. So to switch that, we'll just adjust scales, right? Just a little bit of scale adjustment, maybe a little bit of movement adjustment, maybe a little bit of rotate adjustment, just to make this thing feel a little bit more like it's supposed to. Now, we've got this extra one, don't need it anymore, right? That was the original one, it's now gone. Okay, but you can see, just to make this a little bit more organic feeling, we can make these mods. Now, I can, again, also select them all at once, tweak all the rotations at one time, right? Make sure it's not penetrating through itself. Okay, great. Now we're going to build the stem of this. To do that, I'm just going to take a little sphere and hit that W key and pull this all the way up. Okay. It's going to be a little bit difficult to find the center of this object, but again, it's organic modeling. I don't necessarily need it to be perfect, but we'll just do sort of this, in the center of it, and we'll have the leaves pop right through there just for now. Okay, and you may say, hey, you know what? I mean, some studios say, no, that's a huge no-no. I get it, right? This is just for sake of being simple. Now, I don't necessarily love the bottom part of this, and that's okay, because, it does look like a sphere. So we'll stick this through just a little bit more. I'm going to hit R and flatten this down. Maybe I'll make this whole thing globally a little bit bigger, right? And push this up through. And again, you know what? Just having a little fun here. I'm probably going to get about this close to this model, right? So, with some more tweaks, I can go through and do a little bit more rotate, sort of thing, maybe a little bit of scale on it. Now, we don't want to tweak it so much that we get a little ridiculous, right? So we also just want to bear in mind, we don't want to overdo the simplicity of it. Let's just still keep it simple. Okay, now we're going to come back in the next video. We're going to make the stem. We're going to join this all together and, complete our organic, or, I guess you could say, organic model.